Hey guys, it's me, Olivia. I am back with another video. Before we get started, I just wanted to say thank you all for subscribing, commenting, liking my last video. I never thought that anyone in a million years would watch that video and all of my awkward ramblings. It means so much to me that you guys are here, and I will never take it for granted that even one person actually cares to listen to me talk on YouTube, so thank you all so much. So today's video, I'm going to be answering some questions about modeling. I asked everyone on my social media some of their most common questions, things that they wanted to know about modeling. I'm going to be answering some of the most asked questions that people have asked me just this last week with my social media questions, and also just in my life in general, because people always love to ask me about this job because obviously it's not a normal job and there's a lot of questions and a lot of misconceptions about it. So without further ado, we're going to get started. So on top of talking a little bit about some of the most common questions that models get asked, or at least that I've gotten asked about modeling, I'm also going to talk a little bit about my journey beginning modeling, how I got signed, and kind of how I got into things. I will go more into depth into each of these topics in further videos, but today we're just going to be giving a little overview just so you can understand a little bit about where I'm coming from. So basically my story with modeling is that I signed when I was 17 in New York City with Next Models. I have been modeling ever since. I lived in New York for about a year before I went back to college. I was going back and forth during college, going to New York in the summers, ended up signing with Jag Models in New York after a while, switching from Next, and I have had a lot of experience and seen a lot of things in that amount of time, and I have other agencies, I have great managers, I have all of these other things that kind of fall together, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to be going into much more in depth about my modeling journey and how I got signed in another video later on, so stay tuned for that. Trying to give you guys a little bit of an inside scoop and answer some common questions and bust some myths. Yeah, I'm a myth buster, it's cool. Okay, so I thought I could just start by giving you guys a sneak peek into my comp cards. I have not been in New York in a long time, almost a year now. I have been stuck in North Carolina living with my husband, who I love, but we are stuck here, and we are slowly and surely getting out of here. It's been a whole long, complicated process, but I am getting ready to go back into modeling full force, and I'm really excited, so this seemed like a good time to do this video. So here, that's me. Here are some of my comp cards. These are past comp cards that I've had with Jag. So if you don't know what a comp card is, it's basically just a picture, front and back of you. It's like a cardstock card. Ooh. Okay. Hey girl. All right. And it usually has your name, your agency, and your measurements, as well as your height, hair color, eye color, and how to get in touch with your agent. So you can kind of see. Models carry those around with them to most of their castings. You go to castings anytime from 10 times a day to once a week, maybe none, 1 week at all. Especially during fashion week, you're going a whole bunch. But you carry those around, you give them to clients, basically like a here's who I am, kind of like a business card, but for modeling. You also usually carry around your portfolio or your book, which is either on an iPad or it's like a physical actual book that has the highlights of the work that you've done. It usually has your comp cards in it as well, so they can just like pop one out. And if it's on an iPad, obviously they just like scroll through and look at your pictures, and then you give them a card when you leave. One of the most common questions that I get asked about modeling is, how much money do you make? And since I was like 16 years old, I've always found this to be such a strange question, although it's totally understandable why someone would ask that. I mean, obviously the modeling world is completely abnormal and really fascinating to most people, and I totally understand why, so I understand where the curiosity comes from and that people don't really mean any harm by it. But it is weird because as soon as you find out someone's occupation, especially when you first meet them, you're not like, oh my gosh, hey, how much money do you make? How much money does she make? Does she make a lot of money? I'm gonna Google her. What? I get it, guys. I get that there's like a fascination about it, but sometimes it's just a little forward, and that curiosity can be a little offensive and a little intrusive. So I think that there's a better way maybe of talking about that. I don't know. I'm all for financial transparency, especially women in the business being transparent with each other to see who's getting paid more and why. I think that's really important. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe don't ask someone how much money they make as soon as you meet them. Also, I can't really answer this question because it's different for everyone. It's going to depend on who the client is, who your agent is, who your managers are, who's getting that 20%, and how long you've been doing it. There's so many factors that go into how much money you're making for a job per day, overtime, if there's a residual, if there's a print usage, like there are a million other things. So it really varies for everyone, and I can't really tell you an average of how much someone makes because it is going to vary so vastly depending on who you are, where you're from. There are just so many factors that go into it. And I don't know that it's necessarily my place to discuss other people's salaries as well. It's not really any of my business. I try to focus on myself and how I can do better for myself and how to best financially go about navigating my own career. I can tell you that if someone looks like they're making a ton of money, there's a possibility that they're really not. And if someone looks like they're not making much money or doing jobs that seem low paying, there's a possibility that that's not the case either. So you really never know, and it's really important not to judge. And in the modeling world, it's very hard to avoid comparison, but I think some of the best advice I've ever been given is to not compare myself to other girls and what they're making, because when it's your time, it's going to be your time, and until then, you just got to keep pushing forward and moving on and being true to yourself. The way that models are paid also really varies. You usually are paid through your agency. They will bill a client or invoice a client for your time. There's usually an agreed upon amount and time, and you report all of that back to your agent and they will bill the client. Now, what is kind of an issue in the modeling industry is that sometimes it can take months and months to get paid. I have definitely had jobs where I have not seen a check for 8 months, and that can be really annoying and difficult, but it is just how the business is right now, and over time it has gotten a lot better. You know, like 8 years ago when I was first in New York, it was an entirely different ball game, and I was having to take out advances a lot because I was poor, broke, and just didn't really know how to navigate my finances. And those advances, little did I know, had interest on them, so I was not making a lot of money. And also when you are living in a model's apartment, let's say, or I don't know, even getting like things like this printed, your agency charges you for that. They charge you to be on the website. So most girls have an account through their agent, and you go into debt in that account if you're not making money. Your rent for your model's apartment, because who can afford rent in New York when they first move there with like no work lined up? Not many people. I certainly couldn't. So that kind of goes into your account. Sometimes flights go into your account. It just kind of depends on the client and what they're paying for, if you're flying out for a job or not, etc. Your account can be a really great thing to safeguard you from going into debt out of your own pocket, and the agency kind of covers those things for you until you are able to make money and pay them back. Of course, as with any debt, it can be scary, and you know, there's a possibility that you won't make it back, and you know, you might have to pay that back out of your own pocket, but at least there is a safety net and a guard there for you if you need it. And I know I've taken advantage of that many times in my career, and it has really saved my butt to be able to pay off debt later when I end up making money. So you kind of put in the time, do the work to go to castings, do whatever. Maybe you're not getting a job for a few weeks, and then you finally get that job, and that pays off of rent, and that pays off of your flight, and then you're like good to go. That is also kind of an important part about knowing how much models get paid, is that it's so not black and white. Like generally, unless you're working really steadily, at least not in my experience, I've never been able to do this because I have not really been in the industry as consistently as I would like to have, but you're not really getting a paycheck every 2 weeks to the same amount each time like you are with a salaried job. So it really varies. So it requires a lot of financial planning and navigation there that a lot of jobs I think don't. So models are really a lot more savvy than you probably give them credit for being. And I might be biased, but trust me, it's true. These girls are smart and they know what they're doing. And I've never met a model who is not a badass businesswoman. Like seriously, you have to know your stuff and you have to be on top of things in order to succeed in this business. So another question that I get asked a lot is, do you get to keep the clothes? Well, I hate to burst your bubble, but no. Okay, actually, it's not true. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you can work for trade, which basically means you are giving your time in order to receive a garment, a bag, a shoe, whatever, from the designer, from the shoot that you are doing. It's especially good for girls when they are first starting out and you don't have any cool clothes to wear on castings, which was definitely my thing when I was 17 and first moved to New York. My agent was like, okay, we gotta get you some cool clothes. No more Victoria's Secret pink t-shirts from the 8th grade. Like, let's find you something cool. So I definitely did that a little bit at the beginning, which was great, but also, you know, clothes don't pay your bills, so you got to get paid. Everything is kind of working up to leading you onto a job. Like adding that debt into your account at your agency for, say, a model's apartment, working for trade for clothes. This is all about building an image, building a brand so that you can get the jobs that pay a lot and you don't have to worry about things like this anymore. And you can buy the cool clothes or whatever it is that's gonna get you ahead. A lot of girls, now I've never done this, I've only heard about this secondhand because this has never been part of the business that I've worked in, but I knew a lot of girls, especially when I was a straight size model, who would work for trade for a lot of runway shows. I have no idea how common that is now. I don't know if people still do it or what, but I know that there was a lot of problems with it in the industry, at least among the people that I knew, because getting paid in trade is great, you get some incredible designer pieces, but you know, if you need to pay your rent that month, what are you gonna do? It's tough. It doesn't necessarily pay the bills, and it could be great for castings, but if you're already ahead and you already have enough money to pay your rent and to pay for your groceries and all of those things, then it's a great idea to get a piece of clothing that is super exclusive. So working for trade definitely is a thing, but it's not very common when you're doing something like shooting e-com, which is when you're like scrolling through the website on Target, I don't know, or Macy's or wherever you shop, and you see like the models in the pictures of the shirt that you want to buy. I did that work a lot. I really enjoy doing that work. Actually, e-com can be kind of really long days, and other models will know what I'm saying, but it's still a really great, consistent job, and I actually really enjoy doing it, especially because you get to often come back to the same sets and work with the same people and get to know everyone, which I really love because I'm a big community person. I like to know who I'm working with. I like to have and build relationships with people. That's one of the best parts of this industry to me, so I always really enjoy e-com work, actually. And you don't get to keep those clothes. Like, those clothes are put out on a rack, you try them on, you shoot a few looks, you take it off, and you go to the next thing. It's just like that over and over and over again, and you do not get to keep those clothes. They're just getting pinned on you, and then you are switching out constantly, basically. Now, I think if you're like an influencer, if you are like, I don't know, like a supermodel or like a Kendall Jenner type or whatever, obviously brands are going to be giving you clothes because they want you to wear their stuff because you're cool, so then they're cool, and then people are going to buy what you're wearing, you know? You catch me? Catch my drift? That's what being an influencer is. So if you are that kind of person, which I am not, that would be super cool if I was, but I don't have that following yet to be the kind of person that is influencing tons of people into what I wear and enhancing a brand's look just because I'm wearing it. But I mean, obviously that would be amazing. But obviously then people are sending you clothes and they want you to wear them or review them or whatever it is, and you're gonna be getting a bunch of free stuff, which is awesome. So another common question that I got was, is it really as bad as people say it is? This is a question that I'm going to go into more in-depth talking about in further videos, so I really don't want to go too much into it. I'll give you a little sprinkle of this answer, but yeah, it is that bad. It's not that bad for everyone. Some girls have vastly different experiences than others. Some girls have had really horrible, terrible things happen to them, things that have stuck with them for a large portion of their life. There's a lot of abuse. As many of you all know, you're following the Harvey Weinstein story. Like, there are a lot of people out there who have abused models or harassed them. That is a thing that happens. As far as the dieting culture and the eating disorder culture, that is definitely real within the industry. In the last few years, it has gotten a lot better thanks to great people and great agencies like my agency, JAG, who are working to be more inclusive and more diverse, but it's still a problem as far as I know and as far as the friends that I've talked to, but it's definitely infinitely better and more diverse, especially body type wise, than it was when I started when I was 17 moving to New York City. So I'm really thankful for that and all of the work of all of the people who have literally busted their butts trying to make this industry a better place for all of us. And I'm so thankful for them, and I'm really proud to be able to be a part of that by talking about body image, body positivity right here on this channel. So you guys are doing something just by watching me talk about it, so thank you so much. So those are definitely the 3 questions that get asked to me the most when it comes to modeling. I hope I answered them pretty well. If you guys have any more questions that you would like me to answer in the future, please leave them down below. Don't forget to subscribe, that really helps me out. Share the video with others, tag people in it, whatever. Do whatever you can to get the word out if you liked it. And if you did like the video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. That really helps me out too. I really appreciate that you all are here, that you're interacting with me, and that you're engaged. It means so much to me and it helps me out so much. I feel so thankful that I'm not just talking into the void, because there are a lot of things that I really want to talk about, especially when it comes to modeling and especially about body image and body positivity, and there will be so much more on that in the future. So please stay tuned and let me know what else you want to see when it comes to modeling. I will definitely tell you guys the story about how I got signed and where I am now in an upcoming video, so definitely stay tuned. All right, I love you all so much. Thank you for being here. Stay happy, stay grateful, stay beautiful. Bye.